Hello, my fellow readers. This is Dark Symphony 777 with a fan fiction review. As always, a link to the story will be in the description below. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, click on that bell for notifications. Leave a comment in the comment section below on your thoughts on the story, any future fan fictions you want me to read or review. And finally, this is my opinion. My opinion is not indicative of everyone in the world, so please respect that. So, total drama, everything. 1 and 2. Yes, I am reviewing both stories in this one video, mainly because there's just such a minor difference in both stories that it's kind of making more sense just to do it together instead of making them separate. So yeah. So, the story was suggested by the Broadstone Boy. Thank you for that. And let's get started with the plot. So, for those of you who don't know what Total Drama is, Total Drama is a Canadian cartoon that was released about mid to late 2000s. It was basically just a very cartoony teenage show related around a reality show. So it's a real, describing it on a surface level is really weird because it's like a cartoon. It's also a reality show. It's also a cartoon. Really weird. Just watch it. I would recommend the first 3 seasons. Everything past that, minus the Redonkulous race, was more than anything else. First 3 seasons and Redonkulous race, and honestly, Redonkulous race is actually pretty good too. So, there's that. So, we have Total Drama Everything. It's written by who actually wrote it. I just realized I actually didn't remember the author. The Master Cat. There we go. The Master Cat. They're both humor parodies, and basically the whole premise is the same total drama, idea. You get a whole bunch of people, you put them on an island with like a very narcissistic pretty boy and a military shout. It's like, that's enough! And you try and win $1 million. But this time, they're all fictional characters. Yay! That's nice. I mean, it can be done. I mean, we had like I did like 4 different stories based off the mold. So, it can be done. So, the story for the first one is literally just the normal plot of Total Drama Island. A bunch of fictional characters stuck on an island. They compete in a bunch of challenges, and they try and win $1 million. Nothing more, nothing less. Second one actually has a couple other side plots involving various of the characters. I'll talk about them when I go through the characters because of how they're kind of really tied to those characters. But But this story's main gimmick is, of course, the characters. So it really wouldn't be talking about the plot points in the second story without talking about the characters first. Get it? Got it? Good. But in the second story, the main plot is, of course, the same thing as the first one. Just it's more based off Total Drama World Tour. I guess I actually really like World Tour. I know people not a fan of it, mainly because of the singing. Like, a lot of people didn't really like the singing. I mean, I wasn't really a big fan of the singing too, except for This Is How We'll End It. That was actually pretty good. Outside of that, I didn't really care about the songs. So, what about those characters, huh? So there is a total of 33 characters across the 2 stories. How this one's different in the second story is 10 of the characters were actually from the first story, and then 10 were newcomers, so hence why it's 33 and not 44. Although now that the author is making a third one, now it's officially 44, so kind of a moot point. And for the most part, a lot of the characters are trash. They're just utter trash filler characters that have no personality, no character development. There are a few, like Laser some, but for the most part, they're just there. Let's talk about the only characters that matter across the 2 stories. First off, Yusei Fudo from Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. Okay. He's basically like just you say. He's slightly insecure. He's like a ex-criminal where he lived in New Domino City in the satellite. Yes, I have watched 5Ds. Don't question that. Um, he has a few interesting plot points. He's pretty much one of the only reasons to read the first story. I'll talk about the other two characters a little bit. And across both stories, he was more or less the main character, which is weird because in a story like this where all the characters are supposed to have this, like a lot of character development, as much as you could give them, just having so much of the character development focus on Yusei is admittedly kind of weird. But in the first story, character Yusei was just he was Yusei. Nothing really bad about him. He forms an alliance to stop the bad guy, and it's like once he's beaten, then like okay we can go on our way, and just have fun. You know what I'm saying? It's fine. Um, and he's trying to protect everyone, and he actually has like a little side plot in the first story with another character. But and there is a sorry about that. I wanted to kill something. However, in the second story, he is pretty much the main character. Like every single chapter, kind of has him involved in a big way, whether it be him helping get someone else get character development, or involving one of the several plots he's part of because reasons. he's pretty much he's pretty much in every single chapter, and he's pretty much the important character. And now he's actually in Master Cat's version of the Redonkulous race. So yeah, but unlike the first story, Yusei goes through some a solid character development. He goes through some a little bit of an existential crisis because of what happens in the story, and he kind of gets depressed, and he really tries to help others along. So yeah, it's a nice character. I do think it's okay. Like nothing outstanding, but it's something. Take what you can get. Now for his girlfriend, Lammy. Yes, the character's name is Lammy from Parappa the Rapper. I, I'm only familiar with like very little of that series, so bear with me. There's actually a couple of characters I do nothing about. Like, who is Lammy? I don't know. What's Parappa the Rapper? And then it's like, I'm trying to remember did I remember seeing Lammy? Because I thought I remembered seeing her somewhere. And I'm like, oh yeah, she was in that -8 video involving sheep. Lots and lots of sheep. And now I can't get Busty Wooloos out of my mind. Damn you, -8. Curse you! But she did actually appear in that video. So Lammy is this shy rocker girl. Sorry, I had a bubble in my throat. She's basically a shy rocker girl. She's like very, kind of reclusive in herself. She's not exactly a people person. So hence why a big portion of the first story is actually dedicated to Yusei helping Lammy kind of grow out of her shell, become a better person, become a better person, and getting her to become more confident and helping her out. And that actually extends to the sequel, which they actually start to get some relationship problems because a human falling in love with an anthropomorphic lamb is completely okay. I'm kidding. And then again, I am the one who read like Mario's falling in love with Bowser's daughter, and uh, that is like the weirdest pairing I've read so far. Oh well. So I'm not complaining about you saying like I thought their relationship was nice, not too bad, but you know, again, take what you can get. But I will say that the relationship actually grew on me to the point. It's like I really like them. They're really sweet and they're really cute. And throughout the entirely second story, with them, being solid, and then they break it up, and then they start to repair their relationship as they're dealing with like the big problem, the big second overarching plot in that story. It kind of shows that, hey, the author is actually getting better at this stuff. He's getting better at nuances, as character development, stuff like that. And at the end, it's like, I really liked Yusei and Lammy. I really liked them. Cute is what I would say. Cute is they are cute. But but back to Landy herself. In the sequel, she does have, she does kind of strain the relationship because of certain instances outside of her control, kind of making her completely want to wall herself off from Yusei because something happens that she um that she basically purposely gets herself eliminated so she can try and figure out what's going on and stuff like that. It's fine, I really like that. It's a nice little dynamic that the author did. That while it's simple, but the author did pretty well. Next important character, Nom Nom from We Bear Bears. He's a koala bear. He's also a jerk. Nom Nom was the main antagonist of the first story. He's basically just, in the first story, I didn't like him. Less to do with his character and more to the fact that I'm not even gonna sugarcoat. He was a Sue character in the first story. He was a flat out Sue. Like the circles that the author took to constantly get him farther along was not worth it. Like you bullshitted your way to keep him alive as long as possible. That's not even funny. I know the whole fact that the bad guy doesn't win, but the difference between someone like Nom Nom and someone like Heather is a simple fact. Heather's, constantly squirming through the whole thing was more natural, while Nom Nom's felt incredibly forced. Like, it felt incredibly forced. That's how bad his character was handled. I did like his character. I did grew to actually like the guy in the sequel, mainly because of his little interaction. Yusei, basically, in the second story, Nom Nom, he becomes Chris's intern. And, takes a lot of crap because he actually starts to respect Yusei as a competitor, as like a rival sort of thing. And so Yusei gets in trouble, and Nom Nom actually starts helping him. And they still don't like each other. They make it very clear. I don't think we'll ever like each other. But they learn a sense of respect for each other. Like, yeah, we're rivals, but we can be respect. Like we can respect each other. We can respect our abilities and stuff like that. So it's fine for what it is. I did like his character in the sequel. I didn't like it in Everything One, but you can salvage that ship in the sequel, so good on you. Next important character, Deadpool. Honestly, Deadpool. It's Deadpool. He's one of those characters that is just like completely foolproof. You could write him in any way, and it's like, oh, he'll fit the situation. You literally, if you can even write a Deadpool competently, you got a good Deadpool. Like, that's fine. He has his whole shtick with Julie. Julie was completely boring, so I'm not going to talk about her. She was literally just there in both stories. But Deadpool was way more entertaining. He kind of salvaged that little storyline. There was also a very hilarious storyline where they all bet on two other characters, and Deadpool won the bet, and he basically took Yusei's dual runner, and then he went to Beach City, where the crystal gems are, because one of the other characters, Connie from Steven Universe, said, "Hey, I'll let you train with the gems," and Deadpool just completely kicks her ass, like who knows how many times. And then another character, Leo, Deadpool gets to go to his kingdom, and he basically just drives the dual runner and destroys half the kingdom. And his father's like very pissed. It's like, Leo! And starts like a little mini side plot that we don't see a lot of. I honestly wish we could actually see the side plot in full. That would be hilarious. Where Deadpool has to pay back all the money and the damages that he caused the kingdom, and so Deadpool literally starts a podcast. I'm just, I'm just imagining that whole idea. Like, oh, it's Deadpool with Morning Merc. It's actually very cutesy. It's very funny. We get little hints and happenings of what's happening behind the scenes with that. But it kind of makes me wonder. I want to see an actual story on that side plot because, come on, come on, that story. You don't leave us like that. Don't leave us like that with a story that I want to see. I want to see that side story. Sorry about that. And that's the and that is. Oh, there's also finally there's Mandy. Mandy is like very bland, but she kind of has a purpose in the second season. Like she's just there in the first season, but at least in the second season she's still there, but at least she has a storyline with another character, which dovetails into the important characters from season 2. First off, Gaz. Gaz from the goth gamer girl from Invader Zim. If it wasn't for Lammy and Yusei, she's probably the third best written character. She basically, if the chapter didn't focus on Yusei, it focused on Gaz. That's how important Gaz was to the story. To the fact that they kind of kept switching in and out of as the main character throughout the entire story. That's how important they were. Especially as the story came on, Gaz started out as very Flash. She started out as Gaz. And that plot line with her and Mandy is Mandy sees Gaz and gets completely pissed. It's like, a clone? Are you challenging me? And then, wants to get Gaz because Mandy sees Gaz as basically just a clone of Mandy. Which is kind of true. I think Gaz came in, I think Billy and Mandy actually came out in 2001? Either 2000, like early 2000s. But I know Invader Zim came out, I think 2004. I know Billy and Mandy was out before then. So it kind of had a meta sense in that it was kind of true. Because I think they did kind of mold Gaz from Mandy. They just did some different things. But over the course of the story, she kind of, she has like an Ice Queen quality. She basically she's stoic. She doesn't talk to anyone. She's basically like a Mandy, which makes sense. But as the story goes along, she starts to befriend the other competitors, and actually starts to diverge. Like, I may be like you, but I'm not like you, and proves that she's better than Mandy because, and this is another thing in Invader Zim. It's like, yeah, Gaz is really stoic, kind of glares all the time. But the few times where she does have character development, she shows that there is a lot of yin and yang in her. And she comes off as very cynical and nihilistic. But she also kind of has a heart of gold. Small, but it's there. I don't remember much of Invader Zim. I did watch a couple episodes, so I don't remember for sure. Especially in regards to Double D from Ed and Eddie, where Gaz actually starts to fall in love with him. And, and then the entire second half of the story is just Gaz proving that she's more than what Mandy envisioning her as. More than, and what Mandy thinks is just basically a clone of herself. Said, no, I'm not you. I'm better than you. A sort of deal. And Gaz kind of showing this character growth throughout the entire story of her proving herself, slowly becoming out, being better than Mandy. I thought that was a nice little tale that was done very well. Another important character, Mega Man. He was in the first one, but Mega Man didn't do jack shit in the first one. But he was very important in this story, mainly because there's a little side plot where he gets a letter from Mega Man X, of course. And it said, hey, I watched your show. Take this little gift, give it to certain people, and do these specific options. won't change much, but it could help a little bit with the main villain. And so there's like a little side plot with like Mega Man trying to figure out how everything works and stuff like that to try and help him out, to try and help everyone out. I thought it was nice. It was simple. Like the whole thing is just just Mega Man, just doing certain actions and just being ideal. It has some funny moments where like everyone is sleeping and Mega Man's just listening to an audiobook, and then he sees Chris and Chef come in and like I can just imagine Mega Man just staring at him and wondering, "What? No, no, no! You better not wake him up! Wake up!" Oh, but Mega Man was fine in the second story. Like he can't kind of carried the story as well, but mainly with like the minor character. He's like the most important character in like the minor group. Like there was a major group which was Yusei, Lammy, Gaz, and the villain, and then like everyone else was like the minor group, and that was completely headed by Harry and Mega Man. Speaking of Harry Potter. Okay, so let's see. I always have this. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, characters. I did most of the important characters from one. I did most of the characters. I think I was on Harry. Yeah, I was on Harry. Sorry, something happened that required my attention, and now I'm trying to remember where everything goes. Harry Potter. Harry Potter. Yes, Harry Potter. Ho 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 ho. Harry Potter. It was a really cool character. He's basically just Harry Potter. Does nothing, and it's just sure he's there, but he's like with Mega Man is like he doesn't really get any character development, but it's Harry Potter. You can't go wrong with Harry Potter. If only we got a shirt. Now, if only we got Snape showing up. Ah, I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. Harry Potter. Harry Potter. Detention. Sorry, there's one other character. Oh yes, one last character, and that is the villain from Total Drama Everything 2, Poison Ivy. She's basically Poison Ivy. She's basically pragmatic, manipulate everything, and just being a general asshat sort of deal. She's fine. Nothing really bad. But again, she's just there. Nothing bad. So those are the characters. There's, like I said, in terms of the characters are just there. Like majority of the characters there, and it's like, it's fine. Those are the major characters across the two stories that you should at least get to know. I would have said Sam and Snake, but it's like they weren't really important enough to be talked about, especially Sam. Snake, I was kind of on the fence and decided, yeah, he doesn't really develop that much across the two stories to get anything. That's fine. Grammar errors. I didn't see any grammar errors. That's fine. Let's move on to the last part. Pacing and structure. Um, Pacing is kind of really weird in both stories. So in the first story, the writing was incredibly bad. Like the entire first half is just so gutted of anything really going. It's mostly dialogue, but there's nothing to connect that dialogue to how they're acting, what they're doing. Them just having fun and goofing off. It kind of feels very, very hollow. It does get better in the second half because the author does get better at the writing, as it looks like. So we finally get them actually doing and talking and having a little more fun. So it kind of feels more natural, but it doesn't. But it's not really enough to really say that the first story was any good. The second story, on the other hand, with the layered storytelling, like it has multiple different. There's a big overarching plot with Yusei and Lammy going on, and then there's a bunch of little smaller plots going on at the same time. So it's very, very structured and very, very layered, and how everything goes along. And it feels much natural for this type of story, with all these little mini plot lines going around. That's fine. In the story, in the second story, it's really there's a really annoying running gag of again. I'm guessing people who reviewed the story showing up and they have stands and Pokemon, and it actively ruins those parts of the story. Actually, like after a little bit, like with story, um, it was cute at first, but then she kept showing up and keep distracting everyone, and just an overall humongous nuisance to the point that there's just nothing that actually started hindering those whole little things started hindering the story. So it kind of was really good. It was kind of a neat idea first, like it's super like fans cheering on their their favorite competitors. That's actually not a bad idea. The problem is just one fan, and she was basically harassing literally every single other character to the point of being going from cute to immediately obnoxious, and so it was just really annoying. I don't think that's really the only bad part about the second story is that story, like the off the fans actually interrupting the pacing and the flow of the story, just really destroy everything. I kind of get the reason why because the story kind of ties into the Yusei and Lamy plot a little bit, but it still detracts from the story to the point it becomes extremely obnoxious super fast. The first story has a whole bunch of other problems in terms of the writing. For one thing, like I said, the writing was very gutted, very hollow. We didn't see we saw them talking, but not really doing anything. It was just moving from scene to scene very mechanically. It didn't feel organic, unlike the sequel. The main thing was during the singing competition. In the first story, we had like a little singing contest where everyone sung a song, and Yusei actually dressed up like a magician. And while he was rapping, he was summoning his dual monsters. But we don't see what the dual monsters are doing. We don't even see what monsters are being summoned. And I actually would have liked to see something like Nitro Warrior flossing or Stardust. Hell, I would have taken Stardust Dragon doing the Running Man. Oh, oh my god. I could just picture that being so ridiculously dumb. A gigantic story, like 10 foot high, 10, 15 foot high, white dragon with tattered rings and like blue nipple spaces doing the running man. Oh, the stuff comes out of my mouth. Oh my, oh my god, that's actually really funny. But that's beside the point. Overall, I do think that it does get a little better in the second half of the first story, but not enough. It's still missing like connecting the pieces. It's still very mechanical in nature in terms of how everything is paced. It's very much more natural in the sequel with the multi-layered plot, with the characters being more natural and having fun and goofing off and stuff like that. They feel more like character. It is more befitting the whole humor parody thing. Well, this one just feels more like a parody. It's fine. So, but and the same kind of goes for the sentence structure. It's very simple. Like it's a tale of two stories. One is really bad, and the other one's really good. I wouldn't call Total Drama Everything 2 the best Total Drama story. Like read so many different other better Total Drama fan fictions, like Total Alternate Island. That story is just amazing. But I appreciate the fact that you see the actual growth from the first story to the second story, and the author actually getting some nuance, giving characters more time to develop and breathe and everything. The singing is very annoying, but it's fine. But I mainly just skipped it. Some of the challenges in the second story were more creative, like them going into the Pokemon world and then like them having a Pokemon, and if they find an actual figurine, they get to actually keep the Pokemon, and so usually actually gets to keep a little chink. That's actually really cute. and I think calling the chinks fluffy. But anyway, it's fine for what it is. Um, uh, yeah, but that's it with the main bulk of the review. So would I recommend these stories? I would not recommend the first story, with the exception of Yusei and Lammy. They, for the most part, they carry the entire story, and even then, it's still not enough to save the story. I'm only saying read it for those two characters because of the main plot line that happens in the sequel involves them, and so you gotta know how they fell in love and everything, and so you have to read it for them. So it's kind of a weird situation. I wouldn't recommend the first one. However, between the better writing, the actual better plots, the layered plots, the better overall pacing, and everything's more nuanced, and all the characters have time to breathe, and at least kind of, with the exception like the one or two, they're all given time to shine. I would actually recommend two. I just really wish we could have seen a side story with Deadpool involving Morning Merc. That would have been hilarious. Just saying, would have been hilarious. Favorite part? I would have to say, honestly, the whole plot line in the second story with Yusei and Lammy. Now, I can't really get into too much detail, mainly because it's such an important piece that I'm kind of dealing with an agent's elevation scenario where I end up spoiling a whole bunch of stuff that I kind of ruin the story somewhat. But long story, but to at least sum it up, I will only talk about the first half of the story because I'll leave the second half of the whole thing kind of ambiguous, like you find out on your own. So the challenge, so Chris tries to find out. It's like, hey, I wonder our competitors live there. It's like, you ain't coming here, bitch. And then, so Chris just says, just land somewhere. And so there is a challenge. The challenge being a Yu-Gi-Oh duel. And I happen to love Yu-Gi-Oh, so it's like, I hope it's better than Mandy and Gas. I hope it's better than that finale, because if there's one thing that was just completely disappointing from the second story, it was the confrontation between Mandy and Gaz. It was so disappointing. It was just a mess. That's all I have to say about that. But back to this. So it's basically split into three teams, and they basically just said one team says Yusei, the other team says Lammy, because in the first story, Yusei actually teaches Lammy how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! So, it's kind of the only two characters that are experienced. So it's like you have about an hour to prepare your deck and stuff like that. And so, we kind of get a reconciliation between them because their relationship was on the rocks. And then we get a song of them, falling in love, like showing that they still love each other and they're really heartbroken about what happened. And so they kind of reconcile. And then they duel. Of course, Yusei uses the Synchron deck, the junk / Synchron deck, while Lammy using the Churias. And you used Barkion instead of Naturia Beast. Everyone knows Naturia Beast is miles better than Naturia Barkion. Or just summon Exteria. Like, nah, that would require too much setup. Then you would have to summon Barkion, and then you'd have to summon Beast, and then you have to play Polymerization to fuse them together. But then again, Exteria is like a fucking beast of a card, so it kind of would have been worth it. And so they duel. It's not a long duel, but it beat my expectations. It was much better than Mandy versus Gaz. And then literally the second half of the story happens. Like I said, I'm not going to go into too much detail because it spoils so much of this specific storyline, and it kind of I can't really talk about it. But the entire scene, the whole second part happens, like Deadpool actually summoning like all the other previous contestants, like, we must help them. And it's just a very chaotic mess. I wouldn't recommend the first one, but I would recommend the second one. Now, is there anything I would change? With the first story, basically give them more nuance, give us more connection between us and the characters. make some of the characters more lesser so caricaturist. With the exception of Mandy, because I don't think you can do Mandy that wrong in that context. Fine. Give us some other minor storylines to go along with it. Just give lengthened everything. Um, give us more give us more pros so that way we actually see what they're doing. During the talent show what the monsters are actually doing. Like they can just wave, or Stardust Dragon can do the Running Man, or just breathe plasma, just something, anything, and just show them what they're doing and how they're reacting to the whole situation and stuff like that. Give the characters more time to breathe. Is more or less what needs to be fixed with the first story. Granted, you'd have to make that story longer. It's like already, I think, 100,000 words, 100 plus thousand words. But it's just, there's just not enough prose and stuff that connecting it. You need to make it feel more organic, not mechanical like it actually is. The second story, I mean, I skipped all the songs. Like, I get what you were trying to do with the songs. You were trying to imitate Total Drama World Tour. So, the songs are kind of needed. So it makes sense from a storytelling point of view. As I mentioned, Chris McLean is a sadistic asshole. Um, there are two things I would think would be better. First off, give just like the first one, give a little of the lesser characters more time to shine. Like give them their own heroic one. Like establish all of their characters, and this should be done in the first story too. Establish all their characters. Establish all the characters' baselines right from the get go. Because like with Total Alternate Island, you didn't have much to work with the characters. And instead, it was just the original cast with 10 new characters, and the first couple of chapters just basically established their characters exclusively. And so, because it's basically just Total Drama Island on that story, it should be the same thing here. Use the first chapter or two, just give us a baseline of all the characters. You can easily add a new chapter at the beginning of letting us get to know all the characters and just establish just a solid baseline. And the second story exclusive, fix Mandy versus Gaz, because that story was because that little plot line was built up and it was such a disappointing end to it that it really needs to be redone. And also get rid of all those little fans. Like, okay, fine. Like I said, the whole little mini plot line with all the fans cheering on their favorite competitors, that actually is kind of cute. It kind of humanizes the character to say, hey, even like Ivy has a fan in Harley. But it kind of went too far, and it actually just ruined that aspect of the story. That I just started skipping it because it went way overboard. So tone that back down. Let the fans just be fans. Don't give them Pokemon. Don't give them stands. Don't make them do all this crazy stuff. Just make them normal fans cheering on their favorite competitors, or give them like inspiring words what happened. Like, don't have them ruin the flow of story by spoiling stuff and ruining stuff. With the exception of like, you can have like the whole point with Lucy and Lammy, that could have been solved by Dib, actually Gas messaging Dib and said, hey, help me out with this. And you could have had the fans actually hanging out, like meeting up with Deadpool and stuff like that. And as they get more and more messages, like the whole mystery behind what's happening with Lucy and Lammy is becoming clearer and clearer, and not be obnoxious, not be annoying, not detracting from it. That's it. And that's really it. Just minimize what those fans are doing, and make them more, and have them fit more naturally in the story of them just being fans, and how the fans are being concerned about what's happening with Lammy, and the fans actually wanting to help Yusei. And again, have Dib be involved. It's fine because Gaz trying to, as part of Gaz's character of Dib actually helping him out, so it kind of fits what's going on. and fix Mandy and Gas. That's really it. So that is my review of Total Drama Everything 1 and 2. I do think I don't know if if 3 and Reduction Restoration are ever going to be completed. Who knows? I do think the first and second story have promise of being good stories. I just think they are just missing the mark in how it's presented and how it flows. Like it's still very mechanical in nature. But other than that, I don't think they're bad stories, especially the second one. The second one's all right. Like I wouldn't call it bad. I wouldn't call either story bad. But it's just the first one, which is completely underwhelming for what it was trying to do, and the second part had that whole fan thing just completely ruin everything. Kind of constantly ruin parts of the story. It got really annoying. It was really unneeded. And that's pretty much it. So this has been Dark Symphony 777, and cut.